Merci beaucoup. Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre, de me recevoir. Je suis très contente.
That's the new Quebec Premier, Kristina meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney today. She recently replaced François Legault after winning the Coalition Avenir Quebec leadership race. Frechette doesn't have much time to get comfortable, as the province is just 6 months away from an election. And for months now, the Parti Québécois has held a commanding lead in the polls, but 2 recent surveys show the Quebec Liberal Party pulling ahead. Joining me now, we have former Bloc MP Kristina Michaud. We also have Jonathan Kalles, who served as a Quebec advisor to former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and Rudy Husny, who was an advisor to former Prime Minister Stephen Harper, who also ran for the federal Conservative leadership. It's good to see you all. Thank you all for being here. Jonathan, I want to start, we just got a Liberal majority nationally, and now we have you in first place in Quebec, though I think the map still might tilt it to the PQ. Where are we 6 months out from the election? What's going to be the big issue that drives whatever the final outcome is, do you think?
I think right now you could say we're kind of back to a new starting point. The PQ and the Liberals are, for all intents and purposes, tied. We have a new premier, and we're not exactly sure what that'll mean. She'll have about 2 months to govern, and then she'll hit the campaign trail full on. So at this starting point, yes, the Liberals have a probably tiny lead, but how does that translate? Two quick data points I would point out. The PQ still leads by about 13 points amongst Francophone voters, and that's the biggest block of voters in the province. So that's to their advantage. And to their disadvantage, Mr. Saint-Pierre Plamondon, the leader of the Parti Québécois, 18 months ago, he was a plus 14, 15 in his approvals. He's now reversed that. He's now a minus 14. And so the question all along was, with no real appetite for a referendum, let alone support for independence, what is his ceiling? And his own negatives drawn by some of his own impulsive reactions to what's been going on.
Right.
That's sort of dragged him down. So that's really what I'm watching is, will he be able to stop that big fall?
Kristina Michaud, what are your thoughts on that? Because, I've had some people suggest that the PQ leader is in a similar situation to Mr. Poilievre was in the national election, that a similar trend is emerging. How do you see what's happening in Quebec?
Well, at first, when I saw the numbers, I thought, well, it might be not a good thing for Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. But then I thought about it, and I'm thinking maybe it's not so bad. Because when you're alone at the top, it might be difficult because the spotlight is on you. So every move you make is analyzed. And you don't necessarily want to start a campaign at the top because your numbers then can only go down. So I think it's a good place to be. And we're seeing the Liberals going back home. Maybe they were at the CAQ for a couple of years, and now they're coming back. So, and that idea of sovereignty is bringing back that yes against the no. So I guess it's all natural that we see and the Liberals and the PQ being ahead in the polls. But it'll be good, I think, for Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon to take a step back, look at those numbers, and maybe try to offer something different to voters.
Rudy, what are your thoughts on where the top 2 parties are and where the Quebec Conservative Party fits into this and the CAQ, right? Like, they have changed leaders now. That worked wonders for the federal Liberals, but the Quebec Liberals also changed leaders. So I don't know if that offsets it. How do you see the state of play?
It's very interesting because there's really a change in generation with the departure of François Legault. If you look just at the age of all the different leaders, it's between 48 and 58. So it's really a generational change when it comes to leadership. And at the same time, you have a new premier and you have also a new leader of the PLQ. Both of them are still trying to get known because Quebecers still don't know exactly who Charles Milliard is. They are starting to learn who Christine Frechette is. I mean, they know a little bit about her. She was immigration minister. She was also economic development minister, but she still needs to get known. And the interesting thing is also, is there going to be 3-way races, even sometimes in certain riding, 4-way races with, for example, Éric Duhem, who's also polling maybe at 14%, so he can divide the vote. So it's very interesting to see if CAQ voters, are they going back to the Liberal Party of Quebec, or they're going to give a chance to that new premier.
But Rudy, just to stick with the CAQ for a second, I mean, is this essentially becoming a 2-way race between the Liberals and the PQ for government, or is there a path with the change from Mr. Legault for the CAQ to hold on here? How do you see it?
Yes, I think it would be a mistake to rule out the CAQ and Madame Fréchette. She still has a lot to prove. But I think that if you look at the latest poll, she can improve the numbers. We're still waiting for some polls, but she can get maybe 3, 4, 5 points bump just by the fact that she's now the new leader. She can also have a honeymoon, and also she has leverage. She's governing, so she can make some announcement. She can have also a lot of visibility. So that's why I think it would be a mistake to rule out the CAQ at this point.
So Jono, your federal party was able to, rebound and do very well in Quebec, in part because Mark Carney was seen as the antidote to deal with Donald Trump to some degree. I don't know if that same set of issues translates down to a provincial election, because often they don't. So what does Mr. Milliard, as the new Liberal leader of Quebec, have to do to put it over the top in the seat count? Where do you think the path lies for him?
I think the Quebec Liberals and the federal Liberals are extremely different, and I wouldn't really try to compare them too much. I think Mr. Milliard right now remains relatively unknown, probably the most unknown of those 3 top party leaders. And so that's a lot of growth potential, but also, there's risk when there's opportunity. I think his real push, and why you've seen a bump in the polls, that's the similarity with the federal Liberals, which is people want somebody who's going to focus on the economy, not really get too taken up in identity issues, language issues. They remain important issues, but the top of the line, every time you ask in a poll, what is the most concerning to you? It's the economy, it's tariffs, it's Donald Trump. So the more that the other party leaders are either talking about issues that aren't those, or referendums and separatism, that's an opportunity for Mr. Milliard really to say, no, what you want is stability, what you want is economic growth, what you want is to mitigate some of these problems, and I'm the man for that.
So, Kristina, Michaud, on that, Mr. Saint-Pierre Plamondon has promised a referendum on sovereignty. With the change in the mood of the country, with the emergence of President Trump, does that now look like a mistake? I know that is a central part of the PQ mission, but the appetite isn't always there for it. How do you think he needs to play the separatism issue over the next few months?
Well, there's still people that are believing in this big project. So I think he should stick with it and try to convince people how this is a good idea. But I understand the fear of people, of voters, of Quebecers. We are living in a world that is fairly unstable right now. So it looks frightening to put ourselves in a new society project, like being independent. But I think you should maybe learn to communicate better the positiveness of this project for Quebecers. I think even if there's a fear, you should stay in that path, because what people seem to love about Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon is that he is true to himself and to his values, and that's what brought him to where he is today. So I think you should stick with that, but maybe change a bit the way he's communicating it.
Yes, look, being authentic more and more and more is core, right, in modern, personality-driven politics. But, Rudy, I wonder, is this the issue set this election is fought on? Sovereignty versus the economy, identity versus stability. What is going to drive things for voters between now and this fall?
Actually, today was a very good day for
Rudy. Go ahead, Rudy. Go ahead, Rudy.
Yeah, today was actually a very good day for Christine Fréchette, because the moment that Justice Minister Fraser put his foot in his mouth talking about the withstanding clause, it was an opportunity for the newly premier to basically say, we are going to fight for it. We're not going to let the federal do anything when it comes to the withstanding clause. And at the end of the day, you saw the Justice Minister who had to walk back his remarks. So yes, there's a battle between who's more nationalistic. There's a battle between the Liberals and the CAQ when it comes to who can best defend Quebec and who can have some advancement when it comes to immigration, when it comes to protecting languages, when it comes to protecting Quebec culture. And at the same time, you have Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, who's in a difficult spot, because it's hard to say that Quebec is going to be stronger if they're alone and they're independent or outside of Canada. So that's why it's a challenge for Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. But also the Liberals, they need to show right now, I think when you look at the polls, yes, the Liberals are ahead, but they have to thank Mark Carney, because the Liberal brand is doing well in Quebec, and that's why Charles Milliard is having a bump, because as Jonathan said, for the moment, Quebecers still don't know who exactly Charles Milliard is.
Right, and that's always an issue in pre-election polling, that people, cross-identify with different levels of party, right? So you never quite know how to disentangle it. John, we got like 30 seconds left because I know you guys all have other commitments, but in terms of just looking at the map, what is the key geographic part of Quebec that's going to be the battleground? Will it be the North and South Shore ridings around the island of Montreal, or is it Quebec City region? What should we be watching for, where the leaders are and what they're all playing to, do you think?
I think to Rudy's point, you could have 3 and 4 party races in some areas. So you don't look at the island of Montreal, certainly the 2/3 west part of the island. It's, yes, Quebec City, where the Conservatives have a significant lead. It's in the South Shore and the North Shore, but also in the center of Quebec. There are places where the Liberals used to have some pockets of support. They've lost those. Can they bring those back? Where are those ridings where you're going to have a PQ versus Liberal versus where do the Conservatives pop in? And where can the CAQ still have like a foothold? That used to be in the 450. That's the suburbs of Montreal. They seem very low right now. Let's keep an eye on that.
Okay, we appreciate it. You're all very smart and insightful on the province you love so dearly. Rudy Husny, Kristina, Michaud, Jonathan Kalles, thank you all so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.